former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Timi Frank, has urged President Bola Tinubu to ensure more balanced governance and equitable national development across the country. In a statement on Monday, Frank criticized what he described as a concentration of government activities and investments in Lagos, calling for a more inclusive approach that reflects the interests of all regions. Since assuming office in May 2023, Tinubu has faced allegations of uneven appointments and distribution of development projects, though the presidency has consistently denied the claims. Frank said Nigeria requires leadership that promotes fairness and guarantees equal access to opportunities and infrastructure. Frank further urged the federal government to prioritize key sectors such as agriculture, industrialization, and oil and gas development across regions, stressing that balanced economic growth is vital for stability. On foreign loans and international agreements, he emphasized the need for transparency and accountability, noting that Nigerians must see tangible benefits from such deals. He also urged that major infrastructure projects, including the coastal highways, should align with long-term national development plans. Frank called on citizens to remain engaged in governance by monitoring policies and holding leaders accountable, while urging institutions to safeguard national interests, equity, and sovereignty. Let me start from his last statement on citizens holding government accountable and participating in governance by holding government accountable, and also institutions. Yes.
That only exists on paper. The system does not allow citizens to hold their leaders to account.
Irrespective of the fact that they are the ones that put them in power.
Are you sure they are the one that put them in power?
And that's why elections are there.
No, that's not election. We've not really had elections in Nigeria.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, we've not really. By definition of election means you have the free will to go and cast your vote, and that vote will never be changed by anybody at some point. All right? The 2023 election was characterized by widespread mutilation, rigging, and all manner of electoral malpractice. In that case, the moment that happened, you lost your power, to choose who leads you. You lost your power to hold anybody to account. You lost your power to ask any leader, you're not doing well. Because if somebody could change that result from the polling unit, from the ward, from the local government, it is the power, it is the person that has the power to change that decision, that your loyalty will be. Do you understand? Not to the electorate. So if we must hold anybody to account, then we must sanitize our electoral system. We had an opportunity to do that, but the selfish politicians, they refused to do it.
Which was
the amendment of the Electoral Act 2026.
Okay.
They refused to allow real-time transmission of result from the polling units. That would have been the only way to guarantee, a free and fair election that we can hold our leaders to account. But we lost it, and the status quo has returned to where it was. So for now, Nigerians, the ordinary people, do not have what it takes to hold anybody to account. Look at the system. During electoral season, you see people trying to come and share some t-shirt, rice, and all of that. At the end of the day, the moment result is announced, election is done, you will never have access to such kind of people. In fact, coming to the office, maybe for example, maybe a lawmaker coming to the constituency office to say, they will ask you, who are you? Who sent you? Why are you here? And all of that.
Okay.
You don't do that. Do you know that in some other client, one person issue can cause somebody to lose election? One person electorate issue.
That wasn't handled
yes, properly. Can cause that representative to lose election. But it doesn't happen here. So we do not have the power. So when we have to, anytime we are looking at issues, around our politics and environment, we have to separate theory and practice. Theory on paper, it looks good. It looks like this. Oh, hold your this to account. Hold your leaders to account. You encourage institutions to do the right thing and all of those. Our institution do the right thing in this country. The institution respond to whoever that is in power. Whoever have the power to appoint and remove. That's what the institution responds. And it's not supposed to be so. Insofar we have that kind of system.
Okay.
Trust me, there will never be a time where things will be done according to law, according to fairness, according to how it should be. So we don't have the capacity You don't have, that audacity to hold our leaders to account. So therefore, the leaders are not even interested. How will a leader, somebody who represents a particular place, okay, or somebody who lead a particular region or a particular LGA, things are happening, and the best you could tell you is that, it's not my responsibility. Can you imagine that kind of the arrogance, the selfishness, the politics of backwardness, the politics of selfishness is just so overwhelming in our system. So that's what it is.
I also ask.
And again, he said the president should be this and all of that.
Yeah.
When you look at the antecedents of the president, okay, see, it's not everything you look at it from the paper. When you want to analyze somebody's belief, you look at his psychological perspective and his belief when it comes to governance. This man has been one-sided person right from 1999. Even though at some point he tried to reflect, or he took some people from other tribes to be part of his government and all of that. But his major cardinal focus has been one-sided. And that's why when you look at the appointment, you look at his activities, you look at his project, they are all one-sided. How come, top agencies of government, key investment that comes into the country are, concentrated in one particular region, one particular place, where there is no efficiency, there is no effectiveness in those areas, yet you are still, overcrowding that particular place because you don't want any other place to shine or something like that. So I'm not doubting his activities, because from antecedent you will see that this has been, his trajectory. This has been his personality. This has been his way of governance. Ordinarily, one would have expected that, okay, since Lagos is like this, we need to decentralize port management, open up other areas. Let's look at River State. Let's look at Delta State. Let's look at Anambra nature. Let's look at others so that we open the country, so that we can migrate from this monopoly economic system to a competitive economic system. No country developed by monopoly economic system. The top bourgeoisie, the top business people, you will discover that most of them are controlling one sector or the other. That's monopoly system of this. It is not a competitive system of economy. So if you must open the economy for people to come in, for other businesses, investment to spring up, then you need to break that gene. You need to remove it from that monopoly system of economy to a competitive system. So how do you do that? Open the ports. Open the port. But now, instead of opening the port, you are now killing other port and concentrating everything to one place. So his style of governance is one-sided, and it doesn't look as if he's listening. He doesn't listen.
Why does it seem like his own tenure is louder than the previous one when it comes to what you just said?
Two wrong cannot make it right. The previous ones did the wrong thing. People shouted. He continued. And he came and is doing even worse. Ordinarily, when you came into this kind of abracadabra process, that people were not satisfied and all of that, you try to do things like, at least this person is better. But you now, came and you've done even worse.
Or insulted to the woman.
I'm telling you, so it's really an issue. And that's why we need to focus on this 2027 election so that we will not make this mistake. We will not make the mistake. But my concern is, from all the trappings, from all the indicators, it doesn't look as if there will be free and fair election. And the other platform that should be alternatives, they are not being serious. They are not serious. Because if they ask you today, apart from say this person is going to so places and all of that, you don't win election by all of that. At the end of the day, you will shout, we are gathering people. Before you know, the election result has been announced. You begin to shout, they rigged the election and all of that. No. When we are in this kind of situation, you get serious. It's not a media thing. It's not media razzmatazz. It's not social media fun parties. You get to the root of it, get serious, you have a disadvantage. The institutions, that are saddled with the responsibility to manage this process, they seems to be one-sided. And the agencies that are supposed to also stand to be fair seems to be one-sided. So that's a big disadvantage, especially the umpire that's managing the electoral process. So what do you do to counter this? You go to the drawing board, you go to your thinking room, you go to your strategy room, to bring strategies that each of these factors that will stand as a disadvantage, you counter it squarely. I've not seen that as an analyst, as a strategist. I have not seen that. So that's why I am very cool. I'm very disappointed that even as at this point, in spite of all these sufferings, all this hardship, we are not, seeing a viable, platform that will stand face to face to what these people are doing, or to these people. So to them, it looks like it's a walkover. And if you listen carefully, people are saying that, oh, there's nothing that will make this man lose. There's nothing that all of that. They are not saying that, from the blues. They are saying that from what they know and from what they've done. So what is the opposition doing? Makinde and the likes and all of that, what are they doing? They need to come together. See, where there is no leadership, there can never be any change. The elite theory state that the minority elite rule the majority citizen that doesn't have leadership. So the majority are just complaining, the majority are just grumbling, the majority are just suffering without leadership. If there's no leadership to organize the majority, you will not be able to stand the minority few. The minority few will continue to use their influence, their contacts, their resources to oppress you, to undo you, to keep you to where you ought to be, while they advance their personal interests for as long as they remain in that position. So that's where we find ourselves. So when I see people just talking all manner, I said, no, we are not being serious at the moment, because the majority of the people are not being organized under a platform, that will be able to showcase or use their number for anything. So at the end of the day, they will arrest a few people, give money to a few people, and before you know, result is announced. What will you do? Nothing. They will tell you, instead of you to that, you better play safe. So that's what it is. That's what it is. We are talking about politics, so we need to talk about this. The opposition need to be serious. Every reasonable Nigerian need to be serious, because we can't continue, this kind of hardship in the next 4 years.